Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall-Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored and excited to be connecting in with you. And this month, we have been focusing on how do we thrive? How do we overcome challenges, really step into our brilliance, and thrive, not just survive? And we have two amazing guests that I believe walk this talk in extraordinary ways. They range from helping leaders lead and tapping into all their gifts and talents and thrive and take things to the next level, to an extraordinary leader that helps people bring their stories forward so that they can really impact the world in how they're called to impact, the power of the story to help people really do that. And we all have an opportunity to thrive. We all have an opportunity to choose to live on purpose and with purpose, to choose to bring forward those things that matter most. And I think some of this is a choosing to lean in. And then I also think there's a surrendering part, that we are entrusting the world with our heart and trusting the world with our brilliance. So there's this interesting kind of ebb and flow of leaning in, saying yes, being mindful and purposeful, and then surrendering, trusting where it all will go when we do that, when we're willing to lean fully in. And today I thought to help our reflection, to help us really sink into this, I want to invite you to be fully present, to listen, to receive. And we have a beautiful poem by Sam Yao that I wanted to share with you that helps us kind of really look at how are we surrendering, how are we showing up, how are we choosing to be in the world. Not just what we do in the world, but how are we choosing to be? Sam Yao is an amazing poet. He's been sharing a poem with us a month to support us on our journey. And you can learn more about him going to samyaopoetry.com. I encourage you to do that and really sink into his amazing words. But here's the reflection for today. It's called A Prayer. Love is the substance of the universe. May I be a receptacle for it. May it fill me to the brim and overflow to anyone who comes upon my path. May I be present with every sentient being and bow to the divine spark shining in their soul. May my heart expand to be more inclusive. May my mind expand to be more loving until I'm one with the universe. May I be present with my feelings and my thoughts every moment of the day. May I be aware of awareness itself and know that it is in the nature of my being. May I glimpse the fullest emptiness, shimmering with all creative potentials. May I become conscious of my habitual patterns, catching them by the head and not the tail. May I regain my freedom by not acting on them. May I embrace and transcend my shadow, choosing to dwell in my higher self. May I empty and surrender this vessel so that spirit may inspire and dance with me. May I see what is unseen, perceive what is not perceived, remember what has been forgotten, converse with my internal truth, walk amongst angels and guides, with loved ones who have departed. May I cross the bridge between realms. I am a soul. I was never born. I will never die. Love will never end. May I live with the awareness of this veiled truth while shrouded in human form. When the time comes for me to leave this life, walking and waking from this dream of my sojourn to earth. I shall smile and celebrate my return home. May we release our collective trauma. May we all heal each other and be healed by loving kindness. As you let those words sink in, think about how you're choosing to show up. How are you choosing to continue those patterns as we become aware of them? Are you bringing more love? Are you bringing more purpose forward? Are you choosing to bring what you're called to bring to the world? Let's take a moment, take a breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, like through a straw. Put both hands on your heart. Take another breath, close your eyes. You're absolutely safe. And what is it, as you reflect on these words, as you reflect on thriving, really showing up in your life, bringing your gifts, your talents, your energy to the world, your loving kindness? What do you need today to support you, to encourage you, to empower you as you feel your heartbeat and that pause in between the beats? What is it reminding you of that you need today and are willing to receive? Receive that information. Let's go ahead and take another breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Open your eyes, becoming fully present, and take a moment to write down what was laid on your heart that you need and are willing to receive, so you can keep it top of mind. Start bringing it into reality. Co-create it. Beautiful. Wonderful. And as you do that, we're going to go around our virtual room here and have you share, each of our experts share what was laid on their heart when they took a moment to pause and listen. I know for myself, what I was hearing was grace for myself and others, just to allow that same understanding and grace that it seems so easy for me to extend to others, and I sometimes forget to extend to myself, and just trust and be with the day as it unfolds. And with that, Bridget, I'd love for you to share what was laid on your heart.
Well, thank you. First of all, that was one of the most beautiful quotes I've ever heard. I'm so delighted that you selected that. What was laid on my heart was that recognition of patterns that we all have. And in that consciousness and that recognition is freedom. Freedom to make new choices. And so, wherever you are, be here now is such an important thing. And to recognize the past is the past, and the future we always think is somehow going to be more important than this moment. But this moment is where the power lies, and it's where we have freedom and power to make brand new choices and to create more space between stimulus and response. And it brought me to just the glory of this new beginning, even right now, right here with you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I so appreciate that and the power in that. It was even reminding me of, there's a movie, Anne of Green Gables, and they created a series, and one of the main characters talked about how she always liked that every day, every morning was a new day with no mistakes in it. You got to start fresh. And she really was empowered by that. And I love this, that every moment we have that opportunity and the power of recognizing patterns and making choices around that, and is so powerful. Amy, how about you? What was laid on your heart?
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca. As I was listening to the prayer, the words present, expand, and aware kept popping out for me. And then when you said choose a focus, I just trusted my intuition, and it landed on expand. And I think that's exploratory for me right now. Trust the expansion that's going on. Be open to more and new ideas. And as you're expanding, you will make mistakes, right? We will get that clean slate each day, but just trusting the experience and trusting the expansion. I mean, not only of our messages and our work, but also our love and our care and our empowerment and support of others.
Mm. So powerful. I love that. And so stretching, that expansion.
I'm not
and
even sure what it all means, but that's where I landed.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing where you landed and what is being laid on your heart and spirit. I love it. Thank you. So beautiful. Mm-hmm. And listeners, how about you? What was landing on your heart? How did the words that Sam shared with us speak to you? Or what new words bubbled up, or insights, or, opening and seeing where it lands? What are you discovering as you took a moment to slow down and listen? We're getting ready to go to our first commercial break, and as we do that, I want to encourage you to stay present. Really receive all that is speaking to your heart, to your spirit, the downloads that you're getting. And we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Explore the poetry of Sam Yao. His book of poems, Soul's Journey, is a #1 international bestseller. Sam is a contemporary poet with a unique and highly relatable poetic style to convey the essence of spiritual truths for our time. Readers will find beauty, inspiration, and healing in his words. Get his book, Soul's Journey, today on Amazon.com or visit SamYaoPoetry.com. That's Sam, Y-A-U, Poetry.com. Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you took a moment to be still, to receive everything that is speaking into your heart and spirit. Really listening to that. Sometimes we're moving so fast, we forget to do that. And I was thinking, one of the things that sometimes we forget to do as we're growing and as we're expanding and sometimes extending that grace, allowing Ish into our life. I was talking about this a little bit on a podcast we did recently, and the technician gave me the countdown and listed the time for that segment, and that segment was 7 minutes. Instead of saying 7 minutes, they said 7 minutes-ish. And I really loved that, because to me, it reminded me sometimes as things evolve and grow, it takes a little more time, takes a little less time. And it's so important we remember to allow that space in our life, a little more room for expansion, a little more room as we're discovering how long things take, and allowing that ish in 6-ish minutes, 7-ish minutes, 3 days-ish, allowing ourselves a little room to discover, especially as we're expanding and growing. I was thinking of some of what Amy was sharing too about that expanding and being aware. And that was something that just stuck with me. And I know they were doing it to officially give me the countdown, but for me, it really spoke to me, like remembering to give myself that ish room to grow and let things evolve. So I hope that serves you as you're coming back and plugging into the conversation. I'm really excited to introduce our first amazing guest. She's a dear friend of mine. I know you're going to love her. Bridget Cook Burch is a New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling author, mentor, and speaker, known for riveting stories of transformation. Her powerful work has been showcased on Oprah, CNN, GMA, Dateline, and the History Channel. And I don't want to miss any, and there's more, and NPR, and in People, and more. Those are just listing a few. She is the co-founder and executive director of Sheroes United, a nonprofit organization that helps women and girls rise from trauma. As a leader, storyteller, trainer, and humanitarian, her greatest passion is helping others to discover the importance of their own story and to become leaders in their own communities and worldwide. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and heart-centered Bridget Cook Burch to the show. Welcome!
Wow. Well, thank you. I wasn't expecting all that, but you are wonderful. Great to be on here today, Rebecca. I'm just always delighted to hear your voice.
Oh, thank you, Bridget. I love having you on the show. Welcome, and excited for our listeners to get to know you a little bit and understand some of who you are and what you bring to the world. I just think it's amazing. So welcome. And I wanted to start with this work that you do that is so powerful of helping people not only really discover their story, but to own it, to lean into it deeply and powerfully, and then bring it forward in a powerful way. Why is that work so important to you?
Well, thank you for asking, because I think that's such an important question. And especially in today's society where, we're encouraged to be visible, and then sometimes there can be consequences to that scare us, and we find ourselves, shrinking to fit places that we've already outgrown, and we're want to step outside of our comfort zone, and recognizing that growth and comfort, they're not compatible together. It is discomforting sometimes, and yet I have seen that the work that people do when they come to know their own story inside and out, and not have the fear of going back into their past and taking a look at why they chose certain actions and reactions and where they came into consciousness on their own hero's or shero's journey is so profoundly powerful. Most people feel that life is kind of a movie and they're just some sort of player in it. And where we become conscious and aware of some of the patterns we were talking about and expanding into trust, as Amy was discussing, is when we recognize just how much power we have over our own stories, and also how we have always played a dynamic role. And it brings us an awareness to where we can have more and more power over our own story and to create greater things And I loved it, too, when you mentioned the word co-create. Because I'll tell you, on my own, I can create all kinds of chaos and havoc and messiness. But when I co-create and I'm more conscious and I'm aware of my story and I know my patterns of the past, but I am aware that I can co-create something greater for my future, this is what happens when people take a look at their stories and then they choose to write a new chapter. They choose to write something extraordinary and take themselves to a greater and more empowered destiny.
Thank you for sharing that. Really powerful and so true. I think we can identify with all different parts of that process of our patterns and how powerful it is to own our story and be able to write a new chapter. We forget we can do that. We can change the course and where it's going. In working with people, because I know you work with them so intimately and bringing their story forward and helping it get out into the world, what is one of your favorite moments in that process, the thing that just lights you up when it happens?
Oh, thank you for asking. Honestly, I have so many moments with people that light me up, but there's two places, I think. One is when they become not afraid of their dark night. You know, everybody has dark evenings, but oftentimes we don't speak about our dark night of the soul. And it's a place where our inner battles and our outer battles happen to meet. And you know, we have to take a look in the mirror and see ourselves for who we really are. And that can really be difficult. But it is one of the most beautiful places for a human ever to go. Because once you have tackled that, then everything from here on out is more consciousness and ability to go from being inward focused and afraid to being outward focused. The second part of that I think is just as important is your rise. Where did you rise from your dark night? Where did you come to recognize that all the lies that you had been told or that you told yourself were not true? Where was that poignant moment in time when you recognized the truth and the beauty of who you really are? And you began to grasp that, and you began to grasp that truth in such an extraordinary way that you changed the course of your life. And those are the things when people recognize that. I just love to see the light that comes on in their eyes when they recognize they are the captains of their own souls and that there's a greater purpose to all of it, but so much is in their own recognition and consciousness. It's just beautiful. It's like magic.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that and how powerful to be able to face that dark night of the soul, that part of our journey, and then the rise, and to recognize the rise, because I sometimes think we don't realize how amazing we are, how strong we are, how powerful we are, what we have overcome, and we can miss that too. So I love that. Those are some of your favorite parts of seeing that experience and walking beside people as they discover those things about themselves and that they are the captain of their ship. They do get to choose the course and where they're going next. And one of the things I love to talk about in this month and the conversation we're having today is growth. How do we keep growing? How do we thrive? How do we keep taking things to the next level? So I'd love for you to share a little bit of your ideas around growth and any tips and advice that you have for our listeners today to help them on their journey as they're growing and evolving.
I would love that, and thank you. So first of all, I just want to start by saying, you know, every leader that you ever come across has a growth story, at least one. And it doesn't matter how amazing or magnificent a person is, there have been foibles and problems and issues that they've had to face within themselves so that they could achieve something greater and recognize that they needed to change in order to step into their own magnificence. And I've recently had another one of those. There's been many in my life. Believe me, I'm always overcoming some sort of human foible. But recently had a huge experience in my own life where I got to choose what kind of story I was going to tell. And after 50 years of being a secret, I found my birth parents and went on an extraordinary journey and an extraordinary story. And I recognized, even after working with hundreds of people over the last several years on their own stories, it took me straight back to that the story that we tell ourselves is the most important story on the planet. And we need to ask ourselves, is this of limitation or possibility? And if it's of limitation, it's great just to know it, because once you're aware, now you have something to take a look at. You can tell your consciousness, okay, show me where I have been keeping myself limited, keeping myself small, not allowing growth, and I will I will acknowledge it, and then I'll take the next step forward. And then if your story that you're telling is of possibilities, or you change it to that, all of a sudden your brain and your energy field will begin to bring to you countless opportunities for growth. All kinds of things will come into your space and your existence to give you this opportunity to grow. And so 2 things that I would love for you to take with you on this journey. And number 1 is that you're always at choice. And so you can decide how fast or how slow, how big you desire to go. And the second thing that goes along with that is to have faith and trust in yourself that you're going to figure this out. Nobody has all the answers in the moment that they step their foot outside that comfort zone. No one does. However, if you have faith, if you believe in yourself and believe that you're reaching for something for a greater good, you are more likely to step into something beautiful and miraculous and well beyond what you even thought possible, that it makes the next step and the next step even more exciting and beautiful and glorious.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And I have a question around this, because as we're stretching out of that comfort zone and we don't have all the answers and we're putting our toe out there and we're starting to stretch, and we can make choices, and that's so important that we remember that. What do we do when fear comes up or it's uncomfortable? Because I think when we step out of our comfort zone, it isn't comfortable. And that can sometimes cause us to shrink back, and just because it's new, it isn't, or hard or challenging, isn't a reason not to. How do we become encouraged, or how do we keep stepping forward through some of that discomfort?
Well, I think it's important to note, that's such a good question, and it's important to note that every person faces fear. Psychologically, the only people that don't are sociopaths, and there's a reason that they don't, and we should be very grateful, actually, that we have this ability to be afraid and to be worried. But fear is actually a part of a mechanism in our brain that keeps us safe. And it has to do, and it's tied to the ego. And the ego says, don't grow, don't be too big for your britches, don't be too visible. It tries to keep you small so that you're safe. And when you begin to recognize that you're safe even with the next step, and the next step, and the next step, and that you carry your safety with you, then the world begins to become your oyster to explore. But it often is a small step where you can gain confidence and allow for another opportunity for growth. You know, Confucius says, it doesn't matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. And I have found this, that the universe actually blesses action. It blesses movement. So you move in the direction that you choose, and know that you carry your safety with you. And fear will come up, but you will have the power to look at it in the face and return its roar with your own. And it might start off as a little squeak, and then it will grow, and it will grow, and it will grow.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And I hope that's an encouragement to all of our listeners out there. And one of the things I appreciate you sharing, Bridget, was that you brought in leaders. Every leader has gone on a journey, has gone through growth, has faced that dark night on some level to be where they are and to grow into what they've become. And sometimes we look on the outside and we see people a certain way. We don't always know the journey. So it's important to know there is a journey. But also, what I want you to know is that you are all leaders. We don't always claim that, but we are. You're leaders in how you're living your life. You're leaders in how the choices you're making or not making, because there's still choices. You are leading and choosing how you're navigating. So whether your title has a leader title attached to it or not, you are leading your life. You get to choose where you go, who you are, how you're being, and what you're bringing forward. So as we go to our next commercial break, I want you to think about all that Bridget has shared with you. Really own that you are a leader and take a couple moments to really breathe in, process what serves, and we'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message. It's time to serve, learn, change the world. Tune in each week for the power of young people to change the world. Hosted by NYLC CEO Amy Mewers. The program is a forum for both young people and the adults who love and support them. We make connections with others through stories of change, partnership, and new perspectives of issues facing the world today. Be sure to join us every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Time, or anytime on demand on the Voice America Empowerment Channel.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes and you took an opportunity to really process, breathe, receive everything that serves you, everything that is supportive of all that you are looking to do, and then just release what no longer serves or what is now part of the old story, and you're choosing a new one. Perhaps it was recognizing that you are a leader and owning that. I think that can be a big shift for some of us, or we can shy away from it, and how powerful to recognize you are. And you get to choose where you go and what you're looking to bring forward. And I think that takes courage and commitment and a willingness to stand behind yourself, to stand behind all that you believe and are bringing to the world. I'm really excited to introduce our next guest. She is just a powerful, courageous leader who believes so powerfully in you and your ability to bring things forward. I love her. I know that you're going to enjoy her as well and all that she's going to add to our conversation today. So let me introduce Amy Riley. She is a #1 international best-selling author with over 2 decades of experience coaching executives, developing leaders at all different levels of organizations. She's consulted and helped with consulting Fortune 100 companies such as Allstate, Boeing, and Cisco Systems. She has worked with hundreds of leaders personally and thousands more through leading group training programs. She specializes in creating amazing teams and creating extraordinary results. She's an international keynote speaker and top leadership development consultant, and passionate about helping leaders get extraordinary results. Please lean in and warmly welcome the powerful, dynamic, and courageous Amy Riley to the show. Welcome.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Rebecca. So glad to be here.
You are so welcome, and I'm thrilled to have you joining us. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I'd like to start with why. Why is this work of working with leaders, helping them create great results, why is that work personally so important to you?
Like we've already been talking about, we are all leaders, and there is leadership gold and gifts inside of each of us. So I want each leader to bring their purpose. I call it a leadership legacy, all right, the greater purpose that Bridget was talking about to our world. And I also have noticed in my work with leaders that whenever I have been inspired or impressed by a leader, they have been demonstrating true personal courage. Right? And I want to share the messages that in order for leaders to transform out there, it's not about robotically doing these leadership behaviors exactly right. It is instead about looking within, much more about the work of perspective and belief and intention, and working to transform in here in order to be able to transform out there.
So powerful. So that's just, and I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to underline that. I love that. It's so powerful to recognize that the power is within us. It's not on the outside that can create that and bring forward, but really kind of what is within us. So thank you. I continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just was touched by that and wanted to emphasize it.
I was actually wrapping there.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, great.
Oh, we're good. We're good then. We're in sync. I love that. Perfect. And as you were sharing that, it was reminding me of a conversation that we had recently. I was so honored to have you on our podcast, The Author's Journey, and you did a reading during that interview. I don't know if you recall that, because I know it's been a little bit of time since we did that. And in that reading, you shared an experience that a leader had that to me just really embodies what you're talking about here and why this work is so important to you. So I don't know if you have that handy or if you want to paraphrase that story, because I know that wasn't part of the prep today. if you want to paraphrase it.
I would absolutely be delighted to paraphrase that. And it does underscore what I was just talking about, how belief for leaders, that it's much more about mindset, belief, intention than it is about getting some behaviors exactly right. Peter Drucker has a pretty well-known phrase that says, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I believe similarly that belief eats behavior for breakfast. Mm-hmm. And that is the bottom line of the story that I shared on the author's journey, about a production supervisor who was working with an operator and who's making some changes in the area, and he just wasn't getting anywhere. Right? This operator kept reverting back to his old habits. And the production supervisor felt that he had tried everything. Right? He had tried putting him in charge of it. He had tried getting his ideas. He had tried letting the operator distinguish the timeline. He had really thought he had tried everything. And I asked that production supervisor, what do you think of the operator really? And the production supervisor came back immediately with something like, he's old, he's set in his way, he's upset that I'm younger than him, and he's playing me. And I nodded. I'm like, I get it. And I said, here's the thing. You have tried everything to shift this operator's behavior, except for changing your outlook. And the supervisor got it. He was quiet for a bit, and then he started nodding. He knew he had some work to do. So we did. We had the coaching conversations around, how can...
And it looks like, I'm sorry, Amy, it looks like we lost you there for a moment. So I'm going to continue the story a little bit so we're not creating a cliffhanger there. But this particular leader did some of that work and did the coaching calls and came back where he really felt like he had it. And I know that as Amy talked with him, he felt like, he still has a little bit more work to do. And so he did a little bit more work. And then when he leaned in and was really, really ready, some really profound things happen. And we're going to get Amy back on the line here. There's just a quick disconnect so she can complete that story so we're not creating a cliffhanger. But I think you're really going to be touched and powerfully impacted by the shift that happened when this leader decided to change their perspective, change how they were looking at things. And so with that, we've got Amy back, which is great. So Amy, I was catching them up on the story, and I was just getting to the point where the supervisor comes back and is sharing what happened. So I shared that you had gone back and they weren't quite ready yet. They had a little more work to do, and then they were truly ready. And I want to hand the floor back over to you.
You're a great listener. Good memory about the story. Yes. Actually, the supervisor realized that he was not fully acknowledging and valuing the operator's experience. And he shared that with the operator, and it made all the difference. And the supervisor had all these plans to back up and change the timeline and start over, and the operator said, really, all I need is this one tweak, and then we can move forward as is. And then they were able to implement the process change in half the time they thought it was going to take. And it's because the production supervisor did the work on his beliefs and shifted how he thought and authentically interacted with the operator.
So powerful. I love that. And that he was able to do that work and lean into that conversation. And I believe in the chapter it even shared it was an aggressive timeline. So this wasn't like a safe cushion timeline. This is an aggressive timeline. And then they were able to end up ahead of schedule because of the work that was done and tapping into that expertise. So I love that. I appreciate that. And I think for whatever work we do, when we're in those situations where we've done everything that we can do, really see, have we? have we done that internal work and shifting as well? So any tip for our listeners today around that, that they're at that place where they're just like, I've twisted it and turned it. I've stood on my head. I don't know how to make this better. And they recognize, you know what? Maybe I'm the variable that I haven't tried to shift. What's a good starting place for them?
Of course, having that acknowledgement, right, and that awareness that I might need to look at myself here is a great first step, and just declaring that and opening up your mind can have you see things that you haven't seen before. I will also let you know that there is a resource out on my website, courageofaleader.com. And if you go to the blog page, there is a blog entry and a tool there about how to get into the mindset guaranteed to accelerate trust. And there's an exercise there that will walk you through what are the reasons why you're not currently able to assume good intentions from this person? Right? How has the person been hurt or let down or frustrated? What does the other person have at stake? How might they feel threatened? And there's a series of questions like that that can begin to pull back the layers of the onion, if you will, and find openings to begin to think about different beliefs for the person or persons with whom you're interacting.
That is so powerful, because sometimes we don't know how to get out of our own thinking. So I love that you've created that tool to help us not only have that awareness, but really have some great questions to ask to go deeper and explore. So thank you for sharing that. And I also wanted to have you share about your book that you recently released, because I just feel like that's so in line with what we've been sharing and talking about. We gave a little sample story from it as well. So I'd love for you to share the title of your book, the full title. This became a #1 international best-selling book. So we're so proud of you and we're excited for you. Multiple categories and countries. And I'd love for you to share the full title of the book and a little bit about it. Would be great.
Terrific. Yes. So excited to bring to the market, publish in March, The Courage of a Leader, How to Inspire, Engage, and Get Extraordinary Results. And inside that book, you will find The Courage of a Leader 4 pillars. 4 different pillars of courage, if you will. Pillar 1 is the courage to be authentically you. Pillar 2 is the courage to say what needs to be said. Pillar 3 is the courage to trust the legacy, and that is your leadership legacy. And Pillar 4 is the courage to be bold and create the extraordinary. And throughout that book, you have stories like the one that myself and Rebecca shared with you today about the production supervisor. I interviewed over 35 successful executives for the book, so I share their insights and their stories. And I'm a practical and pragmatic leadership consultant and coach, so you will also find charts and exercises and ways to jump in and begin to apply what you're reading about.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. We're so excited about your book. In a moment, I'm going to have you share where everyone can find it and your contact information. We are entering the last few minutes of the show. And so listeners, I want to give you an opportunity to be able to connect at a deeper level with our experts. So I'm going to have each expert in about 60 seconds share share the best way to connect with them and go deeper. So, Bridget, I'd like to start with you. What's the best way for people to connect in?
Okay, so the best way for people to connect with me is to go to yourinspiredstory.com, and there is a Contact Us form. And so whether you're an author or a speaker or a leader or someone who's just dipping your toes into the water of your own story and your own power, I'd love for you to go to the Contact Us and send me an email. And what I will do for you is I have a couple of free resources that I'm going to give you and a program that's normally $97, and it is called Your Soul Purpose in Words. And so if you send me a contact, I will be delighted to send that to you, Your Soul Purpose in Words. So yourinspiredstory.com, and I'll also share with you Author Unleashed, Crushing Your Fear. So it will be fun for you to explore these resources and really get in touch with your calling and how to face your fear and let your wings take you and make you stronger every step of the way.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing how to connect in and making those generous gifts available. I appreciate it. And Amy, 60 seconds. Can you share the best way for people to connect in with you as well as get your book?
Yes, I will start with the website as well. The Courage of a Leader website is courageofaleader.com. And you can check out the blog there and get more resources like the one I already mentioned, get into the Mindset Guarantee to accelerate trust. The Courage of a Leader book can be found on Amazon. You can get the Kindle, the paperback, and the hardcover copy there, whichever one you choose. Yay! And I, too, have a gift to offer. It's a chapter of the book, How to Be Resilient Time and Time Again. Our world seems to be calling forth.
Beautiful, Amy, and I'm so sorry to cut you off, but we are bringing the show to a close. So are they able to access that gift on your website?
Just email me at amy@courageofaleader.com and put resilience chapter in the subject.
Perfect, because we want everyone to be able to thrive, not just survive and step into the resilience. I appreciate it. Very excited about that. And listeners, I want you to really embrace all the information, tips, advice, insights that have been shared with you today. Take a couple moments at the end of the show to really pause, breathe, and integrate before you step back out into the world. And I want you to remember that each of you are beautifully, mindfully, purposely made and absolutely needed. The biggest gift you can give the world is more of you. So today, step forward, share the gift of you. Be willing to bloom where you are planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone. Talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.